I mean, it's such a polarizing debate. I mean, I know you and Sarah are in agreement, but whenever me and Andrew talk about this on the podcast and we're doing a live Facebook chat, the comments are so split. You know, you've got people saying, just like you, keep him, he deserves it. You know, there's very few footballers like him. There's others who say he's too inconsistent, he's too, injury prone, he doesn't have the goal numbers. It's interesting what you just said there about replacing him with someone better. And if you don't think Harvey Barnes is that player, would you be more inclined to sell him if let's say, you get 40, 50 million for him, and then you go out and you use that on someone like Chiesa from Juventus or, Kvicha from Napoli, two of the players that have been, tentatively linked on the continent? Would that sort of appeal to you a little bit more?
Look, every player has a price. Every player has a price. And Newcastle United are in a position where they're more of a buying club now. If they want to sell Allan Saint-Maximin, they'll sell him because they think it's better for Newcastle United, not because it's a good deal in terms of the other club and for Allan Saint-Maximin. Again, like I said towards the end of my last answer, if the right offer comes in, it's going to be difficult, regardless. I think if you get, like I know a journalist that we spoke to at the end of the season said that Newcastle are probably looking for 20-25 million pounds on Saint-Maximin. I was thinking, what? 20-25?
For his right foot, I hope.
Pardon?
For just his right foot, I hope.
Well, that's what I said. I said you can't be thinking that much because Newcastle paid, I think, £16 million for him anyway when we first bought him. And I was like, you can't be saying that. And he's on a long contract as well. I think Newcastle wouldn't entertain any offer unless it was at least 40 million pounds, especially in this current market. You've got Moises Caicedo looking for 100 million quid. Now, he's not worth 100 million quid, and and there's different positions, but the market's so crazy at the minute. Yeah. I think the club would sell him. The club would sell on SaintMaximin if they had the chance, if they had the opportunity to do so. It's certainly not my opinion on that, but if you're talking about other players like your Chiesas and obviously the Napoli lad as well, who's let's be honest, one of the best players in Serie A. He has been for the last couple of years, and that is why Napoli don't want to sell him, and it would take a ridiculous offer. But it would be an unbelievable statement if we do sign him, because he is just. There's just like you look at Allan Saint-Maximin stats, you look at this lad's stats. Wow, different kettle of fish. But you're talking top dollar, and can Newcastle really afford to pay that on one player? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything to it. But this is what I'm coming back to. If you're bringing in players that are better than Allan Saint-Maximin, then fair enough. But if not, you've got to keep him. You've got to keep him for at least another season, then reevaluate where you are. But not right now for me.
Well, we did ask Eddie Howe on Saturday after the game about Allan Saint-Maximin, and this is a response. When asked if he would keep him, he said, if he wanted to keep him, he said, definitely. I love Allan. I've said that many times. You saw his quality today. When he went into his best position as a left winger, he was excellent. Took his goal really well. He's come back in a good place mentally, and I'm very pleased with him. Now, Eddie Howe said after the Chelsea game at the end of last season, when he was asked about Max, he said it's completely up to him, And Howe's been pretty consistent in his view that if Maxi wants to stay, there's a place for him in this team. And then all of a sudden you get this long-winded, emotional Instagram message from him at the start of the summer where, it really did read like a goodbye, didn't it? It read as if it was a player who was packed his bags and ready to go. It's just bizarre that this sort of saga continues to rumble on when really Howe's been, uber consistent about it. Maxi, whenever he speaks about the club, as you've touched on, speaks so highly, and I think he would love to play in the Champions League. It just, is it because Newcastle don't have any other real sellable assets that he keeps making the headlines about potentially exit? It's such a weird sort of transfer saga, isn't it?
It is, Aaron. You're quite right. It is a weird one. It really is a weird one. Why would you sell one of your better players? If we're being honest, he is still one of our better players, if people want to admit that or not. Regardless if people are on the fence, and everyone can't ignore his talent. I think Eddie Howe bats everything with a straight bat. Sorry, every answer with a straight bat. You're not getting much out of him at all.
Yeah.
I think he has to say that while there's not players through the door. He's only got one player through the door in Sandro Tonali. There's no one imminent from what he said on Saturday. It might change by the time you take on Rangers, but there's nothing imminent in terms of attacking players coming in. So he has to keep him. He has to say the right things in front of the cameras. But I would be again. I would be surprised. I would be surprised. I think the cryptic message that Allan Saint-Maximin put out, I don't know whether that was just a bit of, talk that he heard in the press and it was just to shut people up, or I don't know. But it's just a weird one, Aaron. It's just such a weird one with Allan Saint-Maximin, because I still think the fans have I know you say he splits opinion in terms of maybe online, but in the ground he doesn't. In the ground, people are very, very super confident with him and want him in the team. I still feel that if you put your best, if you say, right, who would you want, out of all the players we've got right now, who do you want on the left-hand side? I think a lot of people will still want Allan Saint-Maximin on that left-hand side against Aston Villa on the 12th of August, but it is difficult. The only problem is he is injury-prone. He does pick up niggles, but because of in terms of what Allan Saint-Maximin brings to a game, he's so quick, he's so strong. And when he goes 100%, how many times can he do that without picking up a niggle? I remember the Wolves game where he scored that fantastic goal and he was holding his hamstring by the end of the game and was out for a couple of weeks. So it's always like, if you want me to give him a maximum, I'm going to pick up niggles, but this is what I can do when I bring my maximum. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least. But I still feel that Allan Saint-Maximin will face some part. I think he'll play minutes tomorrow. He'll want to showcase himself in the States, and look, unless a ridiculous offer comes in, I don't see Newcastle doing anything stupid at the minute.